you're the one who wrote Orientalism, aren't you?
I did.
Well, interesting. I just read your book and I found it quite fascinating.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Came back from the airport, and I thought it was really interesting how automatically they already assumed maybe I was a terrorist or so. I was stopped a couple times, and caught my interest.
Do you think that the Homeland Security should discriminate openly, or do you think they should not discriminate at all?
Definitely not. I definitely think there's precautions that need to be taken because terrorism is a real threat, and you never know who's coming into the border and whatnot for what reasons. But there shouldn't be a strong focus on a specific group of people, or say immigrants or refugees coming from Syria or Arabic countries. There shouldn't be a focus on just them, because terrorism is not just primarily these people. That's just the Orientalist view. We have terrorism coming from here in the United States, homegrown kids, just like in the bombing of Oklahoma. And
are you Junot Diaz?
Yes, I am.
And you wrote How to Date a Brown Girl?
Yes.
So is that really how you think you should treat me?
Well.
So have a seat, guys. Just talking about whether the Department of Homeland Security should scrutinize specific travelers because of their national origin. Do you know what's your take on the issue?
I'm personally against this. I personally think that people should not be discriminated based on where they're from, despite the fact that there are bad people in every country, but not everyone in them is bad per se. I personally run a program that helps out Dominicans and prevents them from being scrutinized.
And I agree with the issue. I agree that they should not be scrutinized against their national origin, just because there's different kinds of terrorism. There's domestic and there's international. Domestic is also like the Colorado shooting. Just the other day in Colorado, we had the Planned Parenthood shooting, a 54-year-old white man who was not checked to be a terrorist and is now being considered for first-degree murder, but he's not a terrorist. But if I were to do that, I'm a black woman, proud black woman, who would be considered terrorist, and I would need to be overviewed by the Homeland Security. But you, Mr. Junot, decide to scrutinize every woman you meet in your story, so how do you explain that?
Well, before you start to terrorize him with your antics, Sloan, I suggest you look at things through his perspective. He's speaking from personal experience, dating all of these different types of women. By the way, I commend you. You have great fortitude in that. Before you decide to, you're going to condemn his thoughts and his opinions based on his very analytical and precise.
Well, Delacroix, what's your opinion on the issue?
I believe that we should not scrutinize people as they come in. I believe that we live in a country where everyone is supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. With the recent screenings of people as they come into this country, we seem to believe that they are more guilty than innocent. I believe we need to go back to the original foundations that these laws were created on.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I have to kind of agree you're getting to a good point with what you're talking about.
This is a smart person.
All right. Gilliam, it's nice to see you. Why don't you come in?
Thank you, Syed.
Why exactly do you agree with Delacroix?
Because he's right.
Mr. Delacroix.
Mr. Delacroix.
We are founded on the Declaration of Independence, which states in there that all men are created equal and they're endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights. So technically, if we're all equal, we still have a cycle going on, and statistically speaking, there's more incidents written down about brown people and black people and terrorism showing up to where we would scrutinize against them. Because there's just so many different instances, such as 9/11 and all that.
Exactly. We are the head, and you are the shoe. That is how it is.
What are you doing here, Minister Mason?
Well, like I said, we are the head, you are the shoe. And history is how it is, and things have happened. Yes, I can see how you would feel emotionally, all of you would feel emotionally that it's wrong that we would scrutinize against you or someone else just because of your national origin or your religion or anything else of reason that we would scrutinize you. But if you think about the history of what your religion or your race or your nation has done to our country, you would see why we would feel defensive against your nationality. Basically,
Because they're basing on how you
basically it is what it is. If we have a fear of a group that's in your religion or in your nationality and we scrutinize against you, if you're doing nothing wrong, then you should not feel offended by the fact that we're checking you. We're just simply checking you just to make sure that our country is safe. And there shouldn't be a problem with that.
I still disagree.
Do you?
I do.
Are you sure?
Yes, because what if I'm in an airport and I'm standing next to my best friend? She's white,
You have friends.
I'm black. She's white, I'm black. I get stopped through each security every time. She just walks right through. You don't see anything wrong with that.
Miss Hopkins, I think you need to realize this isn't all about you.
I think you need to realize. Gosh.
Well, as for black and white, I cannot answer that specifically. But for if it was someone Islamic and someone, say, Italian, there is no history between Italians and the U.S. to where we would feel defensive to an Italian. But as an Islamic, there's many histories and many things happening to where we feel defensive to an Islam. So, it's an Islamic person, excuse me. And if we stop them at an airport, it's simply because we are defensive. We want to stop them and make sure that they're not doing anything wrong to our country.
But I completely disagree. How do you think it feels for a Palestinian to go through an airport and they already feel everyone's eyes on them? Do you know that feeling that you're innocent or you're not guilty or you're not a terrorist or you're nothing associated with that group? And everyone looks at you as if you're the enemy, you're the problem. You have to understand their point of view. You have to understand how they feel. It's not just a matter of what's for the better good or statistics or numbers or all these things. You need to realize
But you're
there is humanity in them.
But you're in our country. You're in our country where we feel a certain way to your religion and to your
They
race.
feel
So
Yes,
if you're,
but I
if
get-
you're doing nothing wrong,
I get where he's coming from. Sorry, topic. But I get where he's coming from. Because he's right, we're all humans. What if we did that to each other and we scrutinized against each other even though we're in our
Don't
own
feel
country?
alienated.
Yeah. Think about how you would feel if you were stopped. Would you feel angry and embarrassed and frustrated because you got stopped while other people just gotta walk by you if it was the other way around?
not at all. That is their country, their customs. If they feel that way and I know I'm doing nothing wrong, I will prove that I'm doing nothing wrong and I will go about my day. Just like Wilfred and I have said on many occasions, it is
You know what?
the way
I don't
it
want
is.
what you're saying about Wilfred. I would rather speak to Wilfred and get his point of view straight up.
Wilfred wouldn't come here. What is wrong with you? Wilfred doesn't belong with the shoes. He belongs on the head.
Excuse you?
I'm
I'm
glad
sorry.
you guys could all make it.
Hi, Wilfred.
Hello.
Hi.
Now, what's the topic we're addressing here? Remind me.
Mr. Saeed.
So I'm gathering from this little interaction that you are Wilfred's help. You should get along with Sloan very well.
Well, we all need help. Go on.
Well, the discussion we were having is whether Homeland Security should scrutinize travelers because of their national origins.
I'm fully aware of that. The idea is we have to create chaos in order to have our balance. We cannot sit around and all be content with living. Every single innovation that has ever been created has been because we have persecuted or scrutinized a group of people. Look at slavery. What did we do? We created America because of slavery. The railroads. We took the Chinese and just made them make our railroads.
Does the humanity of people not matter to you?
Of course not.
All that matters to him is his trains.
Exactly. We have to create, in order to create innovation, we have to scrutinize a group of people. And with that, the media has to portray people who are of Middle Eastern origin and people of Hispanic origin.
See,
Mr.
but
Saeed,
just-
you of all people, wouldn't you back us up?
Well,
Even in your book on Orientalism?
No,
Wouldn't
just-
you back
just
us
as
up
I
that there
said-
is the history
No,
that creates the stereotypes? Stereotypes do not create themselves, but there is history that creates the stereotypes.
But you see, this is what I was, just as I said in my interview on Orientalism, the media portrays Palestinians or Arabs as fierce or terrorists or completely.
Exactly. That is what we
But that's
want.
not what we
That
are.
is what we have to do.
That's not what we are, though.
Okay,
You have
look.
to understand.
Look. statistically speaking, America is a white country. In order for us to grow, in order for us to innovate, we have to create a common enemy. And with Middle Eastern people being a common enemy, we have a realm to create innovation and achievements.
But that's not who we are. That's
It
just
does
that's
not
just
matter what you
characteristics you pull out of who we are.
exactly.
That's an Orientalist view. That's not who we are as a whole.
But
You're
it,
just picking out things to make us the enemy.
it does not matter what you actually are.
Yeah,
It matters
well,
what we have to do in order to create the country that we want to create.
Delacroix,
yes.
you mentioned earlier something
Mr.
about
It's Mr.
Mr.
Delacroix.
Delacroix. You mentioned something earlier about what this country was based on. And originally, what this country was based on was for the advancement of white people. So why, at this point in civilization, when we are scrutinizing against people other than white people, if you defend against the fact that we should be continuing what this country is based on, why is it a problem that we're doing that?
Because change is necessary. Originally, we were founded solely for the advancement of your kind, but change took place. Change occurred. It is inevitable. Change will always happen. As Saeed was saying, we are human. Everyone is human, just not based on the color of our skin. We are human. We need to be treated as such.
Okay, I'm gonna have to stop all y'all because you're not answering his question. He asked about the media, not the emotions of like a human being and stuff. Well, I'm not the same with you, but he asked, how do you feel like the media is portraying everybody? They're automatically jumping to it, such as like with the Oklahoma bombing in 1995. You had a building blown up that was very large, and people automatically jumped to it being 3 Muslims who blew up the building, instead of it actually being a white person who was an ex-army soldier and a security guard. So
Okay,
the media is just automatically jumping.
Maybe the media can overexert some things, and maybe
Alright,
maybe
no.
the Department of Homeland Security can get a little extreme. But
Hey, let's wrap this up. Let's conclude this whole debate. To conclude it. In the end, we all agree that that there is discrimination going on in general.
and
Well,
that's-
America has its reasons for its discrimination with terrorism and the history, and you know they have their reasons.
And America obviously scrutinizes some people, but
That's what has to happen in order to create the balance.
yes, exactly.
Because-
We can all agree on that, correct?
Yes. So with my train, what we have to do is create each part to work together. And for each part to work together, you have to create a bit of chaos to get that train going. When you shovel a fire into the train, it burns. And we have to shovel fire into our country in order for it to burn and create something that can be powerful.
But
But he is right, because at the same time, it's kind of like the food chain. We have to kill to eat, and it's the right way when he's saying you have to have chaos to do it. You have to keep going on and on. So
But-
yeah,
But still, no. Definitely a different way you could have gone about it. You didn't have to put most of your passengers in the back. You could have given them at least sanitary conditions. I mean, of course, you need a workforce for the train to power, but the majority of your population is in disgusting conditions. Look,
I believe what Wilfred did was for the greater good. I believe that's what he is talking about this entire time.
and the idea of a greater good is fine. I agree that there has to be precautions on who we let in to America, how we scrutinize them, or what we do. Of course, we have to profile the people who are coming in, but there's a different way we have to go about it. There's definitely a different way.
you don't have to be so
Exactly.
forceful about it.
I understand what you're saying, but there's no way for us to go about that without the ways we did it. So what we are doing is the best thing that we can do for the time. So I cannot agree with you.
I also understand what you're saying, but I have to leave with Wilford, and I feel like I understand what you're saying, but I have to disagree with you. Some people are the head, some people are the shoe. America is America, and if you don't belong, you don't belong.
I still think that we should not scrutinize. Let's go, Delacroix.
You're the one who dragged me in, and you're dragging me out.
Well, I'm going to be a little more civilized about this at a point, because yes, I do agree that it should be handled differently. But I gotta agree with Wilfred. There's a cycle to everything, and everything happens for a reason.
Overall, I can agree with you. This conversation overall was quite insightful. My point still stands. I still agree. People should not be scrutinized, regardless of who they are.
All right.